Hi guys, Miriam here. I know most of you have missed our history documentary. So for that reason, we decided to fly into the ancient city Benin to bring you history. So today we're currently live at Professor Victor Uwaifo's museum. Even though he's late, his legacy lives on. So today we're going to be getting the knowledge of the life he lived when he was here, Joromi, Mami Water, and ancient history, of course. So you guys follow me. I have his manager here who is going to take us around and tell us the history. Stay tuned, guys. Don't go anywhere. So guys, before I continue, please subscribe to this channel and turn on post notifications so that whenever we drop a video, you'll be the first to know. Thank you.
My name is Captain Chris, and we shall be flying at an altitude of 35,000 miles above sea level. At this juncture, you are advised to fasten your seatbelts. And if you have any electronic gadget on you, such as your GSM, you're kindly advised to switch off. As we embark on this journey, we are going to be entertained with be reminded that tobacco smoking is not allowed in this flight. So we're going to be entertained with some beautiful tunes from my voice, our voices, and the acoustic guitar. Thank you.
Come and see you.
Joromi. Revelation Tourist Palazzo and Museum is the name of this place. It has been adjudged as the largest independent tourist center in Africa. We didn't call it that way, but experts that came, I'm talking about four ambassadors and one deputy ambassador. United States ambassador came here with his entourage. They said it, haven't gone round. From Argentina, from Japan, from France. And then we had the benefit of the presence of Her Excellency, the Deputy Ambassador from Germany. She also said the same thing. The Revelation Tourist Palazzo and Museum is the largest independent tourist center in Africa. The Revelation Tourist Independent actually showcases the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful of Benin Kingdom in particular, Nigeria in particular, Africa in particular, and the rest of the world in general. We have a slogan. When you go in there, at the time you come out, you will never ever be the same again. Because the Revelation Tourist Palazzo is informative, educative, inspirational, and entertaining. The works here, Professor Victor Uwaifo actually did them. He executed them. And he also did the research on all of them. You can see he expressed himself by way of documentation through the means of 2D designs and 3D designs. When we talk about 3D designs, we're talking about the sculptural works. This is a documentation of history, a compendium. They are all very, very motivational. If you look at them, more than meets the eyes. The lion, as you can see the lion, and the lady is so, cooling off on top of the lion, touted as the most dangerous animal in the world. How possible could that be? There is something wrong somewhere. The lion is playing pranks. The lion actually represents the first world countries in the world, like Britain, France, and later the United States of America. These are the police of the world. Technologically, they are very, very advanced. And they came to Africa to do what? To romance with us. To tell us that everything was where that they had come to help us. And they came in a disguise of religion. But on the other hand, they were concerned with our economic capacity. That was the reason why they came. And that is what you are seeing now. Concocted motivation based on hypocrisy. That's what you see here. The maiden represents the African countries that have been so maltreated and ill-treated economically, socially, spiritually, and otherwise. If you will remember, between 1884 and 1885, there was the Berlin Conference in Germany. In fact, yes, the capital of Germany was Berlin. They had a conference there. And top on the list of the agenda was creating, sharing, partitioning African countries amongst themselves. At that time, the first world countries were already technologically inclined, and they needed to market their products. They could not sell to one another because the French people produced the cars, the English people did the same thing, and the Americans did. Although the Americans initially were not part of the Berlin Conference, but later they were incorporated into that system. And so they now began the process of export. So our own side of the African continent was ceded to the British people. And that's the reason why we speak English. But you will agree with me that they were supposed to come here learning how to speak Benin language. They refused to learn ours. They refused to speak the Edo language. They refused to speak Orobo language. They refused to speak Yoruba language. They refused to speak the Igbo language. They refused to speak the Hausa language. And they imposed theirs on us that today has become the lingua franca for the African people, for the Nigerian people, as it were. Now, the implication of this is this. They took all our resources eventually to build Europe. Took away our timber, our rubber, and hyacinth skin, columbite, gold, and so on and so forth. Building Europe. Because hitherto, if you have read Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, it is crystal clear that the people used to hold what they call town hall meetings, where they carried out all local deliberations. It became so obvious that they wanted to put a crack, to bring a crack. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the surface of the earth. They wanted division because they knew they were united by way of custom, their traditional values. They were united. And if they continued in the trend of unity, it would be difficult to penetrate them, to market their products. So the aim and the basic aim and objective of the colonial masters was actually trade. They came to sell their cars to us. So we keep on consuming and they keep on producing. That is the reason why we are where we are today economically. Only God knows when freedom will come. If you remember, one of the things they did there, you have read the book, The Lion and the Jewel by Professor Wole Soyinka. The white man eventually, the colonial masters eventually understood the weaknesses that we had. One of such weaknesses was superstition. People were too superstitious. Professor Wole Soyinka painted the scenario of a village setting, a village called Ilujinle. The people were living together as one. And so the white man came, introduced themselves to them, and then thought of a possible way of creating transportation by rail. And so the ballet, said they were going to hold town hall meetings with the people. And so the town criers, they went round, they held that meeting, and when they eventually rose, the spoken one voice, that the gods were angry, that it was a taboo to pass anything that does not belong to that village through that village. And so that once caught their opportunity of creating it. It was a way of having their goods sold to the people on the other side. So they had this, and so that was one of the reasons why they came with Bible, to neutralize their belief, to let them know that you don't have to. And they succeeded in winning combats, as in Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. What's the name of Okonkwo's son? Onye became a convert. And so he was no longer listening to Conquer the Father. And so things fell apart and the center could not hold. Mere anarchies were loosed eventually on the surface of the earth. So that's that about that. Now, if you look at it, when you talk about culture, it is the way of life. Culture has to do with the language that we speak. The dress sense, the dress culture is important. Today, we can no longer speak our language. It's fizzling into the air just like that. We like talking like the white man, perhaps the way I'm doing it now.
No, it's fine.
But to God be the glory, I can speak my language very well. I still speak the Edo language very well. If you look at it, the dress culture, if you look at this man, it was a way Professor Victor Uwaifo could express himself by saying, look, we should be complacent with our culture. Not south, east, or west. Home is the best. Wherever this man is on the surface of the earth, you will easily pencil him down for a Benin man. Because one of the ways to show where you are from is the way you are dressed. And you will be addressed the way you are dressed. So if someone comes to you dressed like this, of course, you might just be forced to say, Oba Tope. It is part of the thing. Then this one, where the Asian people also dress like this. And if you've been to Ghana, the Ashanti people dress like this as well in Ghana. Just like this. So it is a way of displaying the dress sense of our people. He was only telling us to be proud of our culture. Just like James Agri of Ghana, the man that was born in Gold Coast, now Ghana, he said, I'm proud of my color. He who is not proud of his color is not fit to live. The black people should be proud of themselves, because we tell the black people there could be no word. We are very special people. So that is it about this.
Did he put this through himself?
Oh yes, he did all this.
He molded them?
That was his job, apart from music. What do we call him? The virtuoso of the arts. He's a master of the visual arts and also a master of the performing art. You agree with me that, look, his show was quite spectacular. I grew up knowing him as a super duper star, unequaled. Watch Sir Victor Uwaifo on stage, he was like a thunderbolt, a lightning. His shows were electrifying. And don't forget, the man represented Nigeria. He was appointed by the Federal Republic of Nigeria to represent the nation in international musical competitions.
It's just like a talent he had, but not
No, just a talent. He studied it.
Oh.
Way back in 1963 at the Yaba College of Technology. He was already a graduate there. He studied the visual arts and design in the Yaba College of Technology, Lagos.
Okay.
He studied music as a graduate, as an elite. He conquered in the academia. Even after that feat that he achieved at Yaba College, he went straight into, he was appointed by the Nigerian Television Service, now NTA. He became next to the late Professor Irene Wangboji in NTA then. He was assistant graphics artist. But eventually, when he discovered that one show could pay him a salary of 1 year, that was the reason why he resigned.
Okay.
And he went into full-time music, where he conquered the whole wide world. And then back to the visual arts. He deemed it fit to come back to school after the worldwide fame. He enrolled University of Benin, and he made a first class in sculpture.
First class?
First class.
Oh.
He made a first class in sculpture. So you can see he was, then later on, he was appointed by the government of Chief Lucky Nusa Administration to serve as the first Honorable Commissioner for the Ministry of Arts, Culture and Tourism, Edo State. Are you getting that right?
Yes.
I was the first personal assistant to the Honorable Commissioner for the Ministry of Arts, Culture and Tourism, Edo State, Nigeria.
Wow.
The ministry was actually happening here for the first time. This was where it all started. Edo State. I remember there was a year he asked me to represent him in Delta State. I went there. He was the chairman, so I was the chairman on that particular occasion. The DG then came to me. All the governor was there. All the stakeholders in the Art Council then, they had Art Council Delta State. The DG came to me, he said, please, I should seize the opportunity to advocate for the Ministry of Arts, Culture and Tourism. And that I did in the presence of Ibori, the Commissioner for Information, so on and so forth. I did that. To God be the glory, yes. They obliged that request. About a year later, they started having Ministry of Arts, Culture and Tourism. And our very own Richard Mufe Damijo became the commissioner.
Oh, that's nice.
He taught students. He was able to impart this knowledge into the upcoming students, University of Benin. And there were some too who neither went to the Polytechnic nor the university. They came down here to learn the art. And today they are also professionals in their own right. His works are bound everywhere. If you go to the University of Benin, you'll find his piece there. He made Oba Esige riding his horse and accompanied by a live leopard. He was, in fact, a man called the virtuoso of the arts. Nobody in Nigeria, not even in Africa, has been able to achieve that feat. A genius to the core. I call him the legend of legends.
Amazing, 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 amazing.
Where we are at the moment is where we call Oba Erediawa Open Air Court. As you can see, all the three-dimensional works here were executed by Professor Victor EFOSA Uwaifo, PhD, MON, JP. Let us start from the rear that way. We have the stylized sculpture there representing the motif of Benin Kingdom. That one was instituted by Oba Ewaye Ogidiga the First. He was a very powerful warrior. Between 1440 and 1473, he was in charge of the entire kingdom of Benin. He was a powerful warrior who conquered over 201 towns and villages, including Kukuruku and Ikare. He was a physician, he was a magician, and most of the norms of today were instituted by him, such as Ugewe, Ewe Festival. If you were here in December, I'm sure you would have heard the local people sing like this. It's a long story. She was the wife of Oba Ewaye the First. In fact, the first wife that he married was called Ubi. Ubi was born, they had the same parents from the same womb. They had Ubi, Oyoyo, Ewe, from the three of them from the same womb. What happened? The first one that was betrothed to the Oba was Ubi. Unfortunately, Ubi was not resourceful. She was not a good woman. She was not vicious at all. She would not also allow the Omonoba to touch her. She would not allow the touching. And so she became totally impossible until eventually the Omonoba asked her to go, that she was a bad omen, not only into the palace, but also the entire kingdom of Benin. So she was laid off. Went back to Chief Ogeka of Eka. Was actually the father. Ogeka became so worried. It was like passing a vote of no confidence. As a way of appeasing the Oba, he allowed the second daughter, Ewe, to go to replace the daughter. When she got there, she was so nice. She became a model, a paradigm of note And so, but Obi was supposed to visit. They were very, very close. She got there and would not want to return back to the house. He just married her. The three sisters were once upon a time married to the same Oba of Benin, Oba Uwaifo Okidigan the first. That is that. Till date, it has become part of the norms in the great kingdom of Benin. This particular one here, the prince must walk naked. Prince Odogbo was the son of Oba Ehengbuda, 1578 to 1606 AD. He was so handsome. You know, the system of administration here is based on what I call primogeniture, a system whereby the heir apparent to the throne is not a female, but a male child. Peradventure, they had a male child as the lastborn. That lastborn would be the heir apparent to the throne.
Okay.
That was what happened. In the case of Prince Odogbo, he was actually the only male child. He was so handsome, feminine looking, that, you know, everyone thought the Oba had no son, and therefore no heir apparent to the throne. They were so apprehensive. To douse their wrong curiosity, the Omonoba Ehengbuda decided to cause his son to walk naked from the traditional Grand Atuselu down to the palace of the Oba of Benin. They now saw his nakedness. Rather than being disappointed, the entire kingdom became agog with festivities. They were all very excited about it, that, oh, at last we have a king, we have an Oba. Eventually in 1606, when the Omonoba passed on, he ascended the throne of the kingdom, and he became the Omonoba from 1606 down until he was done. So that is that. This is Chief Obaseki Aho. He came into prominence in 1897 when Oba Overa Ogbaisi was deported to Calabar after the war against the British soldiers. So let us look at this one, Oba Esigi. As you can see, under Oba Esigi, kingship reached its peak of grandeur and articulation. Usually he was accompanied by drummers, his retinue of chiefs, drummers, dancers, who presented themselves during annual state runs. As you can see, he's well seated on his horse, accompanied by a live leopard.
A real one?
A real one, yes. Through Oba Esigi, he was a very, very powerful warrior. The great-grandson of Oba Eweka I. That's him, Oba Esigi. His father was Oba Osolwa. As can you see that? He conquered, in fact, he conquered so many towns and villages also. And he was able to come up with a trade. There was a trade tie in his time between Benin Kingdom and the Portuguese. Oba Osolwa sent him to Portugal to learn their ways. The first Oba who spoke the Portuguese language.
Oh.
Oba Esigi. And they also, when they came here to reciprocate that visit, when they came in here, they taught our people, they had slaves they brought, and they taught us their way. In fact, if not for the intervention of the British people, we would have been speaking Portuguese language. Because they taught the Omonoba that language, and it was expanded. They set up schools here, slate, they would write in their own language. They taught us the dance of the animals. They called it Kareka, that was corrupted to Kareta.
Okay.
These days, you know, when we were kids, we used to see them. They would start dancing around. Their attire were like a gorilla. You find them jumping here, blowing the whistle. That kind of dance was introduced by the Portuguese. Queen Idia was the mother. At the time when kings used to go to battlefield, she refused and asked the son to stay home. She would lead the Benin warriors. She did. The Idia warriors were coming so forcefully. They were fierce-looking warriors from Benue Axis of Nigeria. And so when Queen Idia saw that, at Ikboba Hill, she ordered the artists, the sculptors, to actually mold a semblance of Benin warriors, like the sculptural piece, holding his matches and everything. And so when the Idia warriors, as they kept coming, they saw that figure. Meanwhile, at this time, Queen Idia, and the Benin soldiers were already laying ambush somewhere. They were already in a hideout in the bush. And so all of a sudden, the Idia warriors spotted the sculptural piece that was made. They thought he was human. They kept on shooting their bows and arrows from north, south, east, to west. They kept on shooting from dawn to dusk, from morning until in the evening. Unfortunately, as they were shooting, they finished their weapons. As soon as the weapons were done, they eventually came out, the real warriors, the human beings, Queen Idia. They started pursuing them. The warriors said to themselves, we've been trying to kill only one soldier all day, all night long, all day long. We've not succeeded. Now we have the multitude. They began to race back. And when they got to River Benue, some of them got drowned. And some of them succeeded in crossing the River Benue. The Benin actually succeeded. And when they were coming back, Queen Idia decided to ask those that were too weak to come back home to stay. And some of the various soldiers to also, the brave soldiers, some of them were asked to hang around there. She now formed another little town called Agenebode. It was a plain Benin language. It was a simple instruction, Warabude, which was eventually corrupted to Agenebode. So Queen Idia actually founded that place.
So what does that mean in English?
It means keep watch.
Okay.
Keep watch. Stay here, keep watch. In case they're coming from the other side, then strike. None of them should come towards Benin.
Okay.
So that was it. Many faces of the king's jester. He was called Akayama. Till date, every Oba at one time or the other has had Akayama. Akayama, as you can see the face, funny looking being. Very funny looking. He could twist his mouth, north, south, east, or west, anyhow. His face, anyhow, and everybody would start laughing. But let me concise the story. Unfortunately, I did say earlier on that Oba Ewai the Great got to the throne 1440 AD. Between 1440 AD and 1473 AD, he was the Oba of the Great Kingdom of Benin. In between these years, he had done so much. He saw the light, he saw darkness, he saw up and down. He witnessed, experienced the rain. He also experienced the sun. One event that happened, the same day, he lost two of his sons. Kwoboyuwa, who was the heir apparent to the throne, died. The younger brother called Izuwari, who was a Duke of Iyowa, also died. They died as a result of a heated misunderstanding that was actually caused by one of the wives. An exchange of gifts, so they exchanged poison and both of them died. And when they died, no one had the guts to break this repulsive news to the Oba. And so they decided to play a fast one by going through Akayama, the only man who could insult the Oba openly, who had the local standard to openly insult the Oba. He could do that. He would do it jocularly. Everyone would just laugh, including the Oba himself. So they knew that he could do that job. And so through a parable, he expressed himself. The rain at Iyowa did not get to Uselu. The rain at Uselu did not get to Benin. In Benin, there was a balance. In Benin, what the suggestion was eventually interpreted by Chief Ihama, who made the Oba to understand that he had lost two of his sons, Kwoboyuwa, the heir apparent, and Izuware, the Duke or Enuki of Iyowa. And so he could not console himself. The Oba went straight to his Ogwa, his secret chamber. There he wept so profusely. And when he rose up, he sent for the town crier. When he came, he ordered that the entire kingdom should be abreast with the news, the very, very sad news. But there were going to be some features. In 3 years, everyone in Benin would not take his or her bath. Yes, everybody was going to pay the price. In 3 years, no brushing of teeth. In 3 years, husbands and wives will not have sexual intercourse. In 3 years. In 3 years, ayuko dolo, you don't wash anything. If you had a plate to eat, if you had your calabash to eat or pot, clay pot, then you will have to choose one, but don't wash. For 3 years, it became so difficult for the people. And that actually led to migration. At that time, some that could not cope, they started migrating. That was the reason why the Asian people left. They were Benis. When they got here, affectation actually was the bane of what happened to them. The Benis say, Edonama Zese Oisa. You didn't get that?
No, can I say it in English?
If you want to speak Asian language, then corrupt your Benin language. That will give you good Asian.
Okay, I get it now.
You got it now?
Yes.
Oh, very good. So if you listen to the Asian man talking, the Benin man will hear some of them. Because they were Benis. It was even the time that some part of Onitsha, they were here, they were Benis. So on and so forth. And so migration took place. When Omonoba discovered that they were leaving, he called it off. Unfortunately, it was already too late. It was too late. Then, as a way of putting in checks those that were still on ground, he introduced what they call Iwu. Iwu, scarification thrown on all faces.
Okay.
Iwu, the mark, the tradition, it became the tribal marks of the Benis. So those, I remember my great-grandmother had it. My grandmother had it, but the younger ones didn't have it. It was no longer in vogue. So that was it. The manifestations of the king's jester, Akayawa of Benin Kingdom. Thank you. I'm black and proud, of course. If you look at this one, they helped Britain in Benin Kingdom. So we used to, the women that love this, maintaining their hair, they could stay hours, doing that. And if you take it from them, they're not going to take it lightly with you. Let us move on. This one belongs to the ape family. As you can see, that's gorilla. The largest amongst the ape family. That's the largest of them.
This is one of Sir.
Yeah, he did it, yes. All the works here were executed by him.
By him.
All of them, all of them. Look at this. This is what we call rickshaw. Welcome to the city of Nabos, Benin. As you can see, the rickshaw was the only vehicle that was available at the time. That's the vehicle. Only big men could afford it. It was not only used in Benin, it was used in Nairobi. It was also used in Durban, South Africa. At the time, over 3,000 rickshaw pullers went on strike. So that was the means of transportation those days. Hitherto, if you wanted to travel to Lagos, you would trek down. Oh, yes. Our ancestors did that. That was what they did. And then that. Rickshaw. The rickshaw began as a passenger cart called pulled rickshaw, generally pulled by one man with one passenger. The first known use of the term was in 1887. So that is that. So whenever the big man wanted to go anywhere, there's someone, a lad would just keep pulling until he got to where he got to his destination. Sometimes to the palace. This is what we call okum or oton. Okum, as you can see, this one has been well decorated with fabrics, brass, the mirror, the beads, sign of royalty, reflection. What it simply means is that it is used during burial procession
Okay.
From whatever address down to a motai. Again, this was instituted by Oba Ewai Ogidigan the First. It was in his time. He started it all. Till date, it is still an exercise that's being carried out in the great kingdom of Benin. The brass here is a sign of wealth. The mirror is a reflection, insinuating that the deceased had impacted so profoundly before his demise, so profoundly on his generations and perhaps generations yet unborn. So that's the reason you have. So a male will carry this one from whatever address down to the Emotan statue at Ring Road to pay homage. Okay. It was not an all-comers affair. When someone dies at the age of 40, the honor will not be meted out to such. 50, 60, 70, 80, too young to die at 80. Even at 90, an elderly man will step forward to query that death. Who killed that man? Even at the age of 90. But from 100 years, yes, everyone will say, oh, our father, our grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-great-grandfather had lived a fulfilled life. So we're going to do this one in honor. So whenever you find this one, even till date, among the family, you know the woman or man lying in state had lived a long life. So in Benin, we don't believe in short span life. We believe so much in longevity of life. When you stay up to 100 years and above, yes, we agree that such a one has lived long, so long. In Benin, let me explain. On a obiemiwu, emiwu, eje, omwe inhe, ona mwe sakpai rodin, ona domwe rabiona. That's 5 generations. You can see that. Only one man. And so when such a one dies, nobody wears black. You don't mourn. Everyone is excited. And so when you're eating meat, you're eating it with all joy, not with tears. Like this one. This one is homage. You can see the chief paying homage to the Omonoba. It is usually done during what they call a ho. Every chief annually will go to pay homage to the Oba to say, I am still loyal to you. No matter how highly placed such a chief is. The Osama, the Iyase, the Unwagwe, to mention but few. The Osamaniyon, they do all this annually. It's been done. Of course, this one is a symbol of strength, power. Live leopard. It was actually started from the time of Oba Esigi. From this Oba, the kings in Benin became known as Ekmenowa. That is the home tiger, the home leopard, the home lion, and of course the cat family. To tell you how powerful the Oba of Benin really is. Another one, yes. You can see the Omonoba. There are at some other points, you will have to demonstrate this one to the subjects. And everybody will say, Oba talk by. That's exactly what.
Okay, so who's this?
Yeah, they call this one Ohun Laho. There is this here. Is regarded as the founder of the great kingdom of Benin. So that's the reason why it is usually, you find this one in the museum, you find this one here, to let you know that he actually founded the great Benin kingdom, the head of Ilaho. That's it.
Then this one here.
Okay, this one, Egbogo, long tobacco pipe.
Okay.
You know, sometimes we accuse our young ones of smoking. But did you know our ancestors also smoked?
Oh, they did.
That's tobacco.
Snuff.
This snuff, Egbo, long tobacco pipe. You know, some of them had this. Some of them had this short pipe, and they smoked. Then, to show how affluent they are, some of these ones, they feel that they have gone past the short pipes, they now use the long pipe. And you can see the little boy keep on, to remain smoldering, the fire, he keeps on loading and loading. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And he keeps snuffing the whole thing off until it is finally empty.
Okay.
So that's exactly.
All right.
So we're trying to project our culture. 1967 to 1970. The man who led the coup, the first coup in 1966, was a man called Emeka Nzogu, assisted by Ifejuana from the southeastern part of Nigeria. And some other soldiers also assisted them. And of course, Ojukwu Odumegu Ojukwu, led the Biafrans, and war started in 1967. At that time, they had a Biafra. In 3 years of war, more than 1 million people died. The war was a senseless one. There was the only aftermath of that war was bloodshed. Millions of soldiers died. Senseless. But to God be the glory, in 1970, it eventually ended. And where there was the story of no winner, no winner, no loser, no winner, no vanquished. And that was it. Gowon came up, Yakubu Gowon, who was the head of state then, came up with one Nigeria. This is where we're also called the Hall of Fame. It is the beginning of a Hall of Fame. We're going to go just like this. Here we have the original guns that were used by the Portuguese in helping us to prosecute the Ida War, 1550 AD. These are not replicas, they're the real guns. The real guns that were used then. Then the bicycle, originally owned by Professor Victor Uwaifo, he rode this bicycle. More significantly is the fact that this was a bicycle that he was accustomed to riding from Benin to Abudu, where his father had a contract, to and fro. This was a bicycle. And then here, just at the age of 12, Professor Victor was already strumming the acoustic guitar. And then as an adult musician, having garnered worldwide fame. So that's him in 2006. This is an extension of the Hall of Fame. As you can see, when Professor Victor Uwaifo was the Honorable Commissioner for Arts, Culture and Tourism in Edo State, he led a delegation from here on a mission of a cultural exchange. You can see he had opposed one of the masqueraders in Germany. St. Gregory's College Old Students Association, he actually was an old student of that school in grateful recognition of outstanding contribution to the development of the nation. This award was presented to Professor Victor EFOSA Uwaifo. There have been lots and lots of newspaper reports about him. We just brought in few. He won several awards, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Yes, he won that. Then look at this. Confirmation of National Honors, MON. Became a member of the Order of the Niger, 1983. Conferred on him by the Second Republic President, Alhaji Shehu Shagari. He was the President of Nigeria and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, for his meritorious contribution to nation building. He was so much neck deep into sporting activities, an athlete to the core. He won laurels in high jump events. In his school, St. Gregory's represented his school at the Liberty Stadium, where he actually won some accolades for his school. But a builder of note. He was into sport all through his life. At his age, at 80, he could still make a press-up of 400.
Whoa.
Yes, then, yes. That's January 2021, January, February, March 2021. And when he celebrated his birthday, he did so. He jumped high, 6 feet, to the admiration of those that were in attendance to witness his 80th birthday. This one, very eventful. First like 77, he represented Nigeria at musical and cultural events. He represented Nigeria in the musical events, in fact, performing alongside the likes of Manu Dibango, Midas Sparrow, Quincy Jones, Stevie Wonder, amongst others. Miriam Makeba from South Africa. He obviously was a signature of all eyes with his mesmerizing performance. He stole the show. Members of his family, look at them. And then he was a philosopher. Apart from conquering the academia, He also had quotable quotes that to date, they have become very, very useful. For example, he says the graveyard is full of the best brains that ever lived, and the world goes on without them. So the world can do without the best, and nobody is indispensable. There's one that is a little lower than the middle that catches my fancy each time I go through it. He says here, don't wait for your destiny to wake you up. Wake up your destiny. Just like Miriam had done. Don't wait for your destiny to wake you up. Wake up your destiny. And you have just done that. He says a genius has no duplicate. He comes once in a lifetime. His successor, very, very unlikely.
A man who thinks he knows it all can never grow. All women behave alike. The difference is class and upbringing. What the eyes do not see, the heart does not grieve, and superstition is a disease. There's no history without events. Time will tell. Idle minds breed evil. To be happy, keep busy. If you stay away from evil, you'll be far away from sin. For evil retards progress. Whoa. Promise and fail is a debt if it's a deliberate act. So those of you that promise people deliberately and do not fulfill it, you're indebted to them.
That's right.
Yes.
Forever.
And these are the words of Professor Victor Uwaifo.
This is what we call Independence Square. As you can see, we have the busts of all the stakeholders at the national level, such as Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, who was the first Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria between 1960 and 1966, when he was eventually overthrown by the coup that was led by Lieutenant Colonel Emeka Nsogo.
Guys, we are going to this other building because I learned that Sir Victor Uwaifo himself invented a car. That man is... I don't know the words to describe him. That man was a god on earth. Come, let's go. Is this also a museum?
This is going to be an extension.
Okay, extension.
Yeah. You can see it's been renovated.
Okay, this is one of the car he invented. Can I open?
Yes, okay.
This is a father one would be proud of. He invented this car.
This is the vintage car. Vision 1, that's what he called it. It was invented by Professor Sir Victor Uwaifo using fiberglass as the body. As you can see, this is fiberglass. Most aircraft are molded, designed with fiberglass, which is highly resistant to bullets. Bullets cannot penetrate fiberglass. And that's exactly what he used. In 1995, he drove this very car to Abuja, where it was exhibited in one of the trade fairs. And he got a certificate of merit from the Ministry of Commerce and Industry and the federal government of Nigeria for this particular one. It's so strong, it's moving.
So for now, I must say, I'm so impressed to the point that I don't have anything to say. I'm just surprised, I'm shocked. I am so wordless right now, but everything about this man amazes me. I am not feeling like, it's just as if he's here.
Yeah.
It feels like he's alive and this whole thing he left behind.
Yeah.
So amazing, sir. I wish we're not ending this today because I really want more. I want more. I'm very curious.
No problem. At least you already have my contact. So
Yes.
please call.
Thank you so much, sir.